dark, down on my knees. I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. I was lost until I found that I'm invincible. Nobody gonna bring me down. Hey loves, welcome back to the channel. Today my name is CORSET. So today I'm going to be using this fabric to share with you guys how I made the jumpsuit. It is a crepe fabric and I have just 2 yards of fabric here. I would advise you get not less than 2.5 to 3 yards of fabric if you are of a bigger size. So we're going to be starting this tutorial by drafting the pattern, and these are the measurements you are going to be needing for this tutorial. So I will start by drafting the back piece first. So I just went ahead to really line here, which is going to serve as my starting line. I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. You will notice I'm not leaving any space for zipper allowance because we are not going to be having zipper allowance in this jumpsuit. The zipper is going to be by the side. So now I'm going to go ahead to take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then I'll come down on that mark by 0.75 inch for the shoulder slope. Then for the neck width, I'm going to be going out by 2.5 inches. This is because there's going to be a collar. If you're a bigger person, you may need to go out by 3 inches, but for my size, which is size 8, I just mark 2.5 inches. Then go ahead and slope the shoulder just the way you see me doing. After you're done doing that, you're going to come down here by 1 inch for the neck depth of the back. Then go ahead and use your French curve to connect it just the way you see me doing. So guys, after doing that, the next thing you want to do is to get your armhole depth. This is done by dividing your round bust measurement by 6, then you add 1.5. So whenever I do that, I have 7.5 inches. So go ahead and mark it, then measure what you have here and make sure you have the same thing on this mark as well. Then use your straight ruler to connect it just the way you see me doing. So guys, after doing that, the next thing you want to get is the half length. So you're just going to place your tape on the shoulder line, then you measure to your half length. Mine is 16 inches. Then you mark the same thing on this side here. Then you're going to go ahead to connect the dots with your straight ruler. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to get the bust point, but because this is the back piece that I'm drafting, I'm not going to be making use of the bust point. I'm just going to measure what I have as the chest line. I'll mark it, then I will extend the chest line out just like this. Okay, so guys, this line is the chest line. Before I go ahead to mark out the dart, I'm just going to measure what I have on this armhole line. Then I will divide it into 2 and get the midpoint. Then on that point, I will go in by ½ inch. Then on this chest line, I will take my round bust measurement divided by 4 and mark it. Then I'm going to use my curve rule to connect to give me my armhole. Just connect the 3 dots that I have there, then to create my armhole. So guys, this is it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to come to this chest line here. I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the line. I'll take the same thing on the waistline. Then I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect it just like this. After I'm done doing that, then on this waistline, on that line that I just ruled, I'll take ½ inch on both sides. Then I'll connect it just the way you see me doing to have my dart. So guys, after doing that, I'll go ahead and take my round waist measurement divided by 4. Then I'll measure the dart and I will add it to it. Then I'm going to connect this with my straight ruler. You can see I'm not adding any sewing allowance yet. I will add all the sewing allowances when I'm cutting off fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So guys, after cutting, this is what you're going to have. I'll just label it the back. Okay, so this is the back piece. Now I'm going to be modifying this back piece to cut out the front. So I have a fresh pattern paper here I'll be using to cut the front. So this back piece that I have, I'm going to flip it. Did you just what I did? I flipped it on the pattern paper just like that, upside down. Then I'm going to go ahead and pin it down just the way you see me doing. So guys, after you're done pinning down, the next thing you want to do is you're going to go ahead and trace it out. So first of all, extend this line, the hemline, to know where it gets to. So guys, after you're done doing that, now I'm going to also go ahead and mark out where the neck starts from. Then I will also trace the shoulder just the way you see me doing. Then I will also trace the armhole
just like this. So guys, this pattern paper is white. You can barely even see that I'm doing anything, so just pay attention so that you understand what I'm doing. So guys, you can see I've traced out all the parts I want to trace out using the back piece. You can see now I'm going to go ahead to remove the back piece, then I will start modifying what I've traced out for the front. Okay, so guys, to modify this that I have right now, I'm going to get the neckline for the front. So I'll be coming down by 3 inches for the neckline of the front. You know, the front the neckline is going to have a collar, so just mark 3 inches. If you're a bigger person, you may need to mark up to 3.5 inches. Then go ahead and rule the round neckline just like that. So guys, the collar is not going to get to the end here. You can see that it's kind of wrap, so I'm just going to go in by 1.5 inches. Then I'll make a mark there. This mark that I have here is where my collar is going to get to. Okay, now I'm going to get the neck depth, so from that point I'll just come down by 5 inches for the neck depth. You know, it's a wrap, or it's going to be wrap, so I don't want it to be over revealing. I don't want it to overshow my cleavage and my boobs, so that's why I'm coming down by 5 inches for the neck depth. So after you're done doing that, now you're going to measure what you have on this hemline and divide it into two. Then half of it you're going to go out by half of what you have and mark it just like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect from that point to this point that I just marked. So that's going to be for the wrap. So guys, I'm kind of having a feeling that this is not going to wrap well, so I just wanted to add extra 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and add extra 1 inch to what I initially marked. I'm just having the feeling that it might not wrap well, so I just added 1 inch and I'm going to connect it again. Guys, this is totally me, so if I don't need it later, I can always cut it off, you get. So I just want to be on the safer side. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So guys, look carefully to see where I am cutting. You can see when you get here, you're going to cut on this line and this last line. Don't cut the wrong lines. Okay, so guys, this is it. This is for the front piece, so that's where the collar is going to get to. So I just went ahead to label it the front. So guys, this is it for the front, and this is other one is for the back. I'm going to place these ones aside now, then we cut the short. So guys, I have this fresh pattern paper I'll be using to cut the lower part of this jumpsuit, which is the short part. Now the first thing I will do is to cut the front parts. I just went ahead to rule a line here, which is going to be for the starting line. Now I'm going to take away my half length from the full length of this jumpsuit. So my half length is 16 inches. Away from 33 inches, I have 17 inches remaining, so I'm going to be cutting the short using 17 inches. But remember to take away 1 inch before you take your measurement, which is going to be for the band. Okay, then come here and measure the same thing. Remove 1 inch on top, then measure your 17 inches and go ahead and connect it just like that. So guys, after you are done doing that, the next thing you want to do now is to get your crotch line. So my crotch line is 11 inches. So guys, how to measure your crotch line? You're going to sit on a flat surface or a bench. Then you're going to measure from your waist all the way to the bench, and whatever you have there is your crotch line. So that was how I got my crotch line. So guys, this is the crotch line. Now the next line I'm going to get is the hip line. So to do that, I'm just going to take away my half length measurement, then I'm going to measure to my hip line. The hip line is 26 inches. Guys, it happened to be that my crotch line is the same thing as my hip line. Can you see? So a situation whereby your hip line is different from your crotch line, you are going to mark it and draw it out. But for my case, I don't have to do that because my 26 inches is sitting on this crotch line that I have. So my crotch line and my hip line is the same thing. Now I'm going to go ahead to take my round hip measurement on this crotch line, which is also my hip line. But before I do that, I'll just rule a line here for me to know my border, okay, where my measurement is going to start from. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my round hip measurement divided by 2 on this crotch line, which is also my hip line. Then I'll take the same thing on the waistline. I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots just like this. So guys, after you're done doing that, now on this line you're just going to go out by 2 inches. Then you're going to use your French curve to create a curve just like you see me do, just like that. After you're done doing that, now this line from this point here all the way to the end, you're going to measure what you have and you divide it into 2 to get the middle of your measurement. Then you're going to take it on the hemline and also on the waistline. Then you're going to go ahead to rule a straight line just like this. So guys, this is the middle line of our measurement. Now the next thing I want to get is the round waist measurement. So my round waist measurement divided by 4 is 7 inches. I will add extra 1 inch for the dart, so making it 8 inches. Now I'm going to divide 8 inches into 2, so half of 8 inches I'll make sure it's sitting on this middle line. Then I will mark it on both sides. Okay, so now I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect this just like this. Then after I'm done doing that, I will use my hip curve to connect from this point to meet the hip line, which is also the crotch line, just like this. So guys, this is what you're going to have. After you're done doing that, now the next thing you want to get is the round thigh measurement. So my round thigh measurement divided by 2 is 12.5 inches. So the round thigh measurement is 25 divided by 2. I have 12.5. So I'm going to make sure half of 12.5 is sitting on this middle line. Did you get? So make sure half of 12.5 is sitting on that middle line. You can see I came down by up to 1 inches from the crotch line just to get my round thigh measurement. Then I'm going to mark it on both sides. Now the round hem measurement is 23 inches, so I'm going to divide it by 2. I have 11.5. I'll make sure half of 11.5 is also sitting on the middle line that I have. Then I'm going to as well mark it on both sides. Okay, so after you're done doing that, use your hip curve to connect from that mark to meet the hip line. Okay, just the way you see me doing. So guys, after you're done doing that, you're also going to connect from this mark to meet the crotch line just like that. So guys, this is it. After you're done doing this, now you're going to go ahead to cut out. But before I cut, I want to make sure that this crotch line that I have is up to 11 inches. So just place your tape on this line like this and measure it to make sure you have 11 inches. After I was done measuring, I had exactly 11 inches, so I just wanted to measure it again to be sure. So I placed 11 inches and I just measured it up, and it was the same thing, 11 inches. This is very critical, guys. If you don't get your crotch line right, it's going to affect your jumpsuit. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So guys, after cutting, this is what you're going to have. I'm going to go ahead to label it the front. Now I'll be placing this front on another pattern paper to trace the back. So this is a fresh pattern paper that I have here. I will just place the front on it like this. Make sure you leave nothing less than 3 inches on top here. Leave about 3 to 3.5 inches just like that. Then go ahead and pin your front pattern paper down to a fresh pattern paper to draft out the back piece. After you're done doing that, now guys, the first thing you want to do is to extend this crotch line that I have here. I'm just going to go ahead to extend it out just like this. Then after extending it out, I will go out by 3 inches and make a mark there. This is totally dependent on your size. If you're a bigger size, you may need to go out by up to 3.5 inches. Then on this top here, I will also go out by 3 inches and make a mark there. Then after I'm done doing that, then I'm going to go out here by 2 inches, come here and go out by 2 inches. Here I will be going out by 2.75 inches. Here I went out by 2 inches, 2 inches, but here I went out by 2.75 inches. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead to use this my French curve to connect these 3 dots. These 3 dots, these 1 to 3 dots, I'll connect them just like that. Then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to go ahead to measure what I have as the waistline. I had 8 inches. Then I'm going to measure the 8 inches in a slanted form, the way you see me doing. So I just want to, make this line sharp, this dot sharp. Then you're going to measure the 8 inches in a slanted form to meet that line. Then you're going to mark it, okay? So I measured my 8 inches to meet that line and I marked it. So I'm also going to be adding the 2 inches that I added to the other sides, okay? This is the 8 inches, which is the waist measurement. I will add the 2 inches. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect it just like this. Don't mind these other dots, we don't need that dot anymore. So guys, this is it. Now before I go ahead to do anything, I'm going to measure this line that I just ruled, this crotch for the back. So I'm supposed to have nothing less than 15 inches, which is extra 4 inches added to the front crotch line. After I was done measuring, I had 14.5 inches, which is not exactly what I want. So I'll just go up by half inch here to make it exactly 15 inches. One thing to note, guys, is that when you are cutting anything relating to a trouser or a short for a lady, the front crotch line must be nothing less than 11 to 13 inches, and the back crotch line must be nothing less than 14 to 16 inches, depending on the person's size. So the average crotch line for a lady's short or trouser is the front should be 12 inches and the back 15 inches. So that's the average for a lady. As you can see, I went ahead to connect the line just like that. So I'm just going to go ahead now to extend this line out. I will just mark half inch. I will add half inch to the back just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead to use my hip curve to connect it to meet the hip line. So guys, after you're done doing that, so also connect this just like this. Now the next thing I want to do is to come to the hemline here. I'm going to also be adding 2 inches to the hemline just like that. Then I will go ahead and connect it to meet the crotch line just like that. Then I'm going to use the straight ruler to connect the hemline just like this. After you're done doing that, now I'm going to go ahead to remove the front pattern paper. Then I'll go ahead to cut out the back. So guys, this is the back. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So guys, after cutting, this is what you're going to have. Now I'm also going to go ahead to label it the back. So this is the back and the front pieces of the short part of this jumpsuit. Now the last thing I'm going to be cutting is the sleeve. So I'm just going to use this pattern paper that I have here to draft out the sleeve. So the length of the sleeve is going to be 10 inches. So I'm just going to mark it here, and I also mark 10 inches here just like this. Then go ahead and rule a straight line. After you're done doing that, now how wide the sleeve is going to be, it's a puff sleeve. I don't want my own to be too wide, so I just went out by 14 inches. Then this part here, which is 10 inches, I will go down here by 3.5 or 4 inches for the slope, the sleeve slope. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to connect from that part. I'll just slope it down to this mark that I came down by. Okay, so this is it. After you're done doing that, now you're going to go ahead and measure round this slope that you have, so and mark your armhole measurement. So the armhole is 18 inches divided by 2. I'm going to have 9. So this excess that I have here is what I'm going to be using to do the gathers that is on top. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead to just rule out this line. Then I will cut this out. Guys, note that I'm cutting this sleeve on fold. I'm going to be using this pattern paper to cut my sleeve on fold. Okay, so go ahead and label it the sleeve. So guys, this is it. This is what I have. So these are all the pattern papers that I have drafted out. So I'm going to go ahead now to use all these pattern papers to cut on this fabric for this tutorial. So this is what I had after I was done cutting them out on my fabric. Now in my next tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I'm going to sew this, which is going to be the part 2 version of this tutorial. So do want to stick around so that you won't miss the video. Hit on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that when I post the part 2 version, you'll be notified. Thank you so much guys for watching.